Greetings, fellow football managers, and welcome back to Valencia, where we are looking at a tactic that I built for you in this video linked up here. That's kind of required watching for this in a way, because I'm going through the squad, designing a tactic, showing you my thought process on how to set things up. These are the results, in two parts. At first glance, this looks extremely bad, and I agree. I have to admit I wasn't terribly thrilled when I was watching these friendlies. Yes, I actually play the friendlies and I watch them. Having said which, I don't have a very good squad. Not just a first team, but a squad. And therefore, when I started making substitutions and things like that in the friendlies, changing the whole team, my B team couldn't really hold up, and I started to lose a lot of these friendlies this way. Having said which, there were certain things, especially in, for example, this Paris Saint-Germain friendly, where I only lost, away from home as well, by 1 goal. I saw a lot of good things, and I was shutting them out quite well. If I look at the match report here, this was quite good. If you look at the top left, XG is 2.2 to Paris and 1.01 to me. That is a perfect reflection of a 2-1 game, obviously, and the possession was pretty even Stevens, 52 against 48. Again, if you watch that video that I linked up a few moments ago, you will know that I was trying to build a possession-heavy team. The idea is to try to hold the ball in these kinds of areas. That said, why am I so happy at losing 2-1 with an XG against of 2.2? It's because of this. When you look at the analytical data as it loads up here, if we look at PSG's XG chart, you can see immediately here with that first goal, they had a massive chance, or two chances here. A 0.7 which they missed, and then basically a 0.35 which they scored. So they had two huge chances, and after that they kind of leveled off. They created a couple of chances here as well, but by then I was back into the game. I'd actually scored the equalizer. Things were going quite well. And them being ahead of me by a little bit, but kind of parallel, was about okay. But then as you can see in the second half here, I made a bunch of changes, and they accelerated away from me again. So I was pretty happy about this spot over here from kind of minute, let's say 10, 20 or something like that until halftime. I think I was the better team. So for me, that was kind of a good sign, a sign that there was actually something in the tactic and I shouldn't bin it completely. It gave me a little bit of confidence, even though obviously the results are quite poor. I had 3 friendly losses in total. Although again, away from home, neutrals, Eibar, Sporting Gijon, not that bad compared to a Valencia side. Paris Saint-Germain definitely better. Lens, you could argue, is kind of similar, maybe not as good. But then again, away 1-2 loss, not too bad. However, what that left me with was an idea that, yes, I do need to change things. So I gave myself 2 matches to try and figure it out. So Cadiz and Real Sociedad were my test matches. I didn't really make any changes in those games, and let's have a quick look at what happened. As you can see here, away against Cadiz, again, this was encouraging for me because I dominated them in terms of possession, 63%. That is kind of what I'm aiming for with this tactic. And then I had an XG of 1.82. So I really should have probably scored another goal. Even though my striker was good, he did get the goal that I scored. We scored in the 32nd, and actually the equalizer came after I'd made a bunch of substitutions. So for me, again, squad depth is a bit of a problem, especially since I'm playing such a single area heavy tactic. So I'm playing 3 central midfielders and 1 DM, so most of my squad is already on the field. My backups aren't ideal, and I've already had to start playing a couple of players out of position as backups, especially in this right central midfielder role, which is an attacking Mezzala. So that is a bit of a problem here. I don't have a natural central midfield backup, so I've had to try and start retraining a winger to fit that position. Sergi Canos. From that previous video, we looked at him. He was a decent player. He was probably the one outstanding kind of flank winger kind of player that we had. So I'm trying to put him into that role. So this again was encouraging. I could have said, okay, yeah, that's just a one-off. I kept going. Real Sociedad was the next one, and this one told me that, okay, I had problems. From halftime onwards, I made the one big change that I always do, or not really change, but I did the one thing that I always do to try and fix things up, and I'll get to that in just a second. The game itself was a complete damp squib. Anybody who went to this game would probably have requested refunds because this was such a dreary game. There were, 9 shots and 2 on target, 4 shots, 1 on target from Sociedad. XG was around half a goal or less. For me, the good thing was I didn't let them play. They had no chance of getting near my goal at all. Just the 1 shot on target and 0.23 XG. They had nothing going forward, but kind of neither did I. I didn't have enough either. So I knew that was something I had to look at, and in the second half, it became apparent to me what should happen, what's going to go on. and what I can do. And then, as you can see, things start to change. Real Betis, I was able to take a win away, and obviously if you play Football Manager, you probably know Real Betis are a European side in the first season here, so they're quite good. Atletico, then I was able to manage a 2-2 draw. I'll get to that in just a second. Girona, I got an easy 2-0 win. Villarreal, a little bit disappointing, 2-2 draw again though. And Athletic Club, who are actually top of the Primera, I think it's called La Liga now. They're a good team, and we were able to hold them away from home 0-0. So the results have turned around, and as I said, at Real Sociedad, I did one big thing, and that was switching to full match. I watched the second half fully, and I was able to kind of see, okay, I need to make a couple of changes here because a few things are going wrong. I made those changes, and then I went to Betis, and as you can see, against a pretty good team, I've done very well. I've had more XG than them. To be fair, I've overperformed a little bit, so my players were clinical. There was one chance, I think the Gonzalez goal was a really good one, and obviously the winner was really late. We got a penalty and scored it, so that was kind of fortunate. They could have won it 1-0 because the penalty obviously is a XG of 0.75 or something. So they could have been good value for the 1-0, but we just created that one good clinical chance. And then we had the penalty which Gaia put away. Taking on Betis though, who are a very attacking team, high quality, good on the ball, good going forward. If we look at the XG match story as well, I was pretty happy. Even though we created almost nothing in that first half, I was really happy with how it was going, because we were being incisive and just lacking that final ball. And then we started to get a couple of final balls through, and then we created the chance and scored the goal. So even though this is kind of a FMing, I've kind of FM'd Real Betis there, I was very, very happy with how this game went. Looking at Atletico, this is a really interesting story. Obviously, it shows that I was better than them. I've had a better XG than them. I've had more possession than them. And in fact, the two goals that they scored were identical. And those, because I was watching again in full match, those exposed to me a single weakness of my tactic. Or not a single weakness, but one particular weakness. And they scored both goals. As you can see, Sal was the assister and Griezmann was the goal scorer. Griezmann was playing off Gabriel Paulista, basically as a left-sided forward. And Sal was a left-sided attacking playmaker or something like that. Basically, he was the most forward of the Atletico midfielders, at least the central midfielders. And Griezmann was on this side. Essentially, Almeida is also the most forward of my players. So there was basically a Mezzala attack going up against an advanced playmaker attack, and the Mezzala wasn't really tracking him. That was the big problem here, and it showed me obviously that I have a slight weakness in this area if the opposition puts two attacking players, especially high quality attacking players, into this kind of area. Also, by watching this tactic, I know I have a weakness on this side because, again, Gaia is a attacking wingback. So if he's allowed to track back and defend, he'll do a really good job because he's a class defender. But on a quick transition or something like that, he can be caught too far up the field, and then it's up to these two guys to try and cover out. Pepelu, I've found, is very, very key to this tactic. He kind of knits everything together, and Guillamon plays basically the conducting architectural kind of role. Randall Correa is also interesting. When we profiled him, we looked at him and we saw how physical of a monster he was. All his physicals are above 15, 16, something like that. And that is very vital, especially in terms of defense. He gets in there, he wins a lot of headers, he gets to balls he has no right getting to. So that is very, very good. The physicals can really stand out there. So what exactly were my changes and how did I change this team? Let's have a quick look here. Duro, I had him as a deep lying forward attack. And by using full match, I was able to see that a lot of the time he lost the ball, it was because he was getting on the ball and then trying to dribble it up the field, basically using that attacking mentality of his, thanks to the attack duty, to make things happen. And because he's so isolated, he was running into trouble and getting 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, and just getting crunched off the ball. He is a good player. I found that out. He's a very, very good player. All of those mentals make him very good. Excellent personality, resolute, so he turns up on the field. The problem is that he's not an outstanding player. He's not an agility 17, 18. He's not an acceleration 20. He's not a dribbling 18. All of these are in the 13, 14 kind of area. So he can't take on an entire team by himself. So the fact that he was getting isolated is something that I changed. I brought him back to a deep lying forward support. My other option was to make him a false 9, but I thought let's keep it simple to start with and make him a deep lying forward support. So essentially he's going to hold up the ball and then try to, make a moment of space for himself and then play a nice pass into the on-rushing players. The two attacking duties here next to each other, that is risky and they don't get involved in build-up play as much as they could. But again, that was something of design from me. I want the deep playing forward dropping deep and then finding these guys running in behind, Guerra to that side and Almeida to that side. That's kind of how I'm trying to create chances with this tactic, so I'm absolutely fine with it. So be it that they don't get involved. And that's why the DM is on support. That has been working really well because he comes up into kind of a double pivot with Pepelu. He sometimes goes beyond as well, and he covers up on this right-hand side. This guy's become a really, really important player, and a DM defend would not do this job. He would sit over here, and he wouldn't get up to these areas because Randall Correa can get isolated as well. Once he's in this kind of area, the Mezzala is here, and he doesn't have a passing option back into the field, and the DM support gives him that. However, the major change that I've made, the DLF to support from attack wasn't a major change. It was a very basic tweak. The major changes here at the back. What I saw was that the wide center backs were the ones who were kind of pushing up forward. Obviously, that is what they do, but they were getting way too involved in the build-up play, and they were kind of supporting the fullbacks up here. They were just getting a bit too far forward. They were trying really risky passes and things like that. That is absolutely not what I wanted them to do. These two guys, forgive me, they're kind of the donkeys in the team in terms of passing. They have kind of low passing, very low vision compared to the players around them. Look at that. Passing 11, 12, vision 10 on both of them. They're great defenders. They're very, very good. They have a job to do. But they were on the ball too much as wide center backs. So I changed things up a little bit. I put Diakabi as a libero to get him on the ball and get him pushing forward there, which also helps Guillamon to go way up the field because Diakabi is behind him. To be fair, a libero gets up here a bit, but mostly up here around Pepelu as well. But he does the job for me in two ways. Number one, he gets up there, he closes down, he wins second balls, clearances and things like that. He picks them up in this kind of area, especially when Guillamon is up here. He then is able to pick up all of those things. He's also very, very good in terms of spraying the ball around, putting little through balls in. Diakabi was the one who was a ball-playing defender before. Passing 13, vision 12 doesn't look like a huge improvement on the other guys, but it is good enough. Also, his physicals are pretty decent. He's got strength. He's got a little bit of pace and acceleration, so he can actually cover the field. He's got some dribbling skills, so he's good on the ball as well. So the major structural change I made was this, changing the wide center backs to center backs, and I've also given them take fewer risks because as center backs, while playing the Betis game, I also found that they were trying to play a few through balls. I do not want that from these two guys. I want that from everybody else. So I've got these guys taking fewer risks. That is it. Let's go into the game, and I'll see you in the Mestalla. Okay, we're ready to go. We're going to hit kickoff, and immediately I'm going to skip that and go to full match. As you can see, I was in comprehensive. After I made those tweaks, I played the Girona game and the Villarreal game on comprehensive because I was, again, happy with how the tactic is working. Now, again, full match allows you to see exactly what's going on because highlights do not give you an idea of your build-up play. It's not really telling you if your build-up is working. It's not telling you how the opposition is building up. Essentially, if you want an idea about build-up play, you need to have a look at the full match. All right, there we go. We can see immediately there's an interesting little pattern of play developing there. They are coming into our middle, and we've got so many players there, we're able to win the ball easily. Now, Paulista and Schenk are not in any hurry. They can keep the ball and wait for something to open up, play through the middle, and see how it goes. Randall Correa, he's not a great dribbler, but he is physical enough to do a job out there, so that's absolutely fine. But immediately, I was happy with what I saw because my players won the ball, and then they slowed the game down a little bit. Over there, I'm not too thrilled with what happened there. He kind of took too much time on the ball. He dallied. Maybe he didn't have enough passing options. Maybe the opposition press was just too good. Something to think about. But it is what it is. Still though, Football Manager can be really frustrating when you're watching on a highlights mode and the opposition just keeps getting highlights. Why do they keep getting highlights? It's just highlight after highlight. They get a throw-in, then they get a corner, then they get another throw-in. Then they are, the game picks up from the middle of the field and they're coming at you. And you're just like, why is it always them? When am I going to get a highlight? You can't solve that problem sometimes until you go into full match and you have a look at situations like this. You see what your keeper is doing with the ball now. Is he following your instructions? Good. Short pass out to the libero. Libero brings it out a little bit, looks for a pass. Almeida gets involved, quick pass out, and there, we had a problem there. So, Randall Correa didn't play a good pass. That is something we need to kind of think about. Did he not have enough passing options? Is he trying to be too aggressive with his passing? Do we want to change things in some way? Immediately I saw my build-up play breakdown from that point. So that's something that I need to put into the back of my mind. I'm not going to jump in and fix it immediately. It's just 3 minutes on the clock. So full match can get really dreary, especially when you're watching two possession-based teams and one of them is playing a mid-block or a low block like me. So I'm not trying to press them up high. I'm letting them play in their own half and I'm waiting for them to try and bring it into my half before I do something like that. Schenk wins it. Gaya's injured, or at least he's not fully fit, which is why Vasquez is on the field. But again, let's see what we can do. Here we go. Now we've got a move building up. This is exactly what I want. And you can see how crucial that wing-back right is and how good a player we kind of need in that position to make things happen. It's just a wing-back support, but he was played in and dribbling all the way up into the box. So from a squad recruitment kind of view, I might think that I need a good player there. That might be one of my first upgrades. If I want to stay with this system, it might be to get a complete wingback profile kind of player. Because Randall Correa, although he's good, he's essentially a runner. His mentals aren't amazing, and his technicals aren't amazing either. So this is a counterattack now. And Juro just lost out. That was very, very poor from him. It is what it is, though. Not everything will work out, and that's one of the risks of counters. I've had a couple of counterattacks where Pepelu, who I consider one of my best players, just did not play a through ball, even though he was 2-on-1 and the striker was in acres of space. Just didn't play that through ball. So, it does happen. And right now, I'm really, really happy with this. I've seen a couple of things where, okay, I'm not so thrilled. Again, that was a bit of a poor ball. Again, Pepelu, for some reason, playing the wrong pass. But again, you can have little mistakes or odd things. Having said which, you do need to watch out for reasons why those things are going wrong. That through ball was fine. That was absolutely fine. He saw where the player was. He knew what Hugo Duro was going to do, and he played the ball. Just couldn't quite get there. Look at that. That little one-touch passing move up the field was great. That is exactly how I'm trying to open up chances. But again, Vasquez with a mistake. So he's a wingback attack, and obviously he's not Gaia. Gaia's a fantastic player. Vasquez is good, but not quite as good yet. I'm willing to accept those little mistakes from younger players as well. On full match, you'll see a lot more of that stuff, but as well, you'll see things where you need to take action. So far for me, I haven't seen anything where I need to take any action. I'm so happy with where this tactic is. Another interesting thing you can see with full match is again the fact that they absolutely cannot penetrate my defensive shape. It's been all me after that first little flurry. It's been all my team on the ball. It's been us making interceptions and tackles, kind of blocking them in our mid-block kind of shape and creating a couple of chances. That especially was a really good chance. Should have maybe taken that, but hey. Again, completely thrilled with this because it shows that I'm shutting them completely down. They haven't been able to breach my defensive structure. We've lost the ball a couple of times going forward, but they haven't been able to breach us. And here we go again. Ugh. So there, my Carrilero wasn't close enough to the play. For me, I would have wanted Pepelu a bit wider out, but not much I can do about that one because Vasquez did play quite directly there. Okay, Cenk on the ball again. Super happy with this. He's just waiting. He had a couple of options, but he's looking to play the simple passes because he knows that more creative players are in front of him now. That was risky, but fine. And we keep it once more. So we've got that double pivot kind of shape, or even a three in midfield here. Ooh, Vasquez, very nice. So he tracked back well there. Pepelu, not having a great game today. Okay, that there was another very, very interesting little chance, and that was a good passage of play. There were probably two chances in there. So again, happy with this. We are just creating chances. Counterattacks have been good. There's been a couple of counterattacks with chances on the end of them, and there's been these little build-up phases. Again, they're a bit of a mistake, but again, that is kind of what I'm trying to do with this tactic. Play the ball in the midfield, get that pass and move kind of thing going. I will mention one more change that I did make after watching that game as well. I went for pass into space. That is something that I added to the tactic as well, because it kind of encourages the pass and move kind of thing that we're looking for. A lot of those quick movements, runs off the ball, and looking for through balls, especially to the wing backs, because they get into a lot of space. I'm looking for that kind of situation. And pass into space helps me out with that. One of the risks with pass into space is things like Pepelu giving the ball away a couple of times, as I've mentioned. That is kind of because of pass into space. He's trying a few through balls, which he may not have otherwise. But it's a fine balance you need to find. And for me, pass into space so far has been better than without. Because they are looking for those players making runs a little bit more. Whereas before, players were making really good runs. I was seeing those runs with full match. That's the thing about full match again. I was seeing players make those runs, but then the guys in the midfield were not playing the ball. So that showed me immediately, okay, I need to make some change there. And therefore, I take pass into space on, and then things started clicking even more. They started to find the players who were making those runs. So pass into space was something that I found with full match. The other big thing that I found with full match was the structure at the back, the build-up play, the defensive positioning, or rather the positioning of the centre-backs, and their involvement in build-up for me was completely wrong with the wide centre-back system on. And that's why I switched it to this two centre-backs and the libero kind of system, so that Diakabi is a little bit more central to build-up, and the two centre-backs on the sides are very, very, very safe. They're going to play super-duper safe. As you can see, again, that kind of central, almost one-touch build-up was absolutely what I wanted. Although Vasquez against Ramos is a tricky pairing there. Tricky duel. There's that mid-block, working perfectly, right on the halfway line. So things like that, you can kind of see, you can look at patterns, you can see what players are doing. Pepelu making a couple of through balls, which he shouldn't have. That's because of pass into space. And it's something I will have to live with, so I'm completely okay with it. My midfield is doing really well. They're making quick passes, even though I have shorter tempo on. When that pass is on, they'll make it. It's not that they're just going to hold on to the ball pointlessly just because your tempo is low. If they have a pass, they will make it. And that's what I mentioned before about Randall Correa using his physical attributes to actually make interceptions. And there's that quick through ball again. Very, very good. I'm happy with that. My last observation with full match mode was the fact that attacking, I went attacking when I went down against one team. I can't remember exactly which one. I think it was Betis. Once I went to 1-1, I think I went attacking to try and get the win. And the match looked very, very interesting. The players were playing the same style, but they were getting the ball through the lines very well, very quickly, very effectively. A lot of the time when I'm on a balanced instruction, I want to kind of up the tempo a little bit. I will switch to positive because it changes a little bit less. But I found out immediately by just doing it a couple of times that attacking mentality suits this tactic really well. They won't try and go too direct. All the players are in good positions. It's just that they're getting forward a little bit more urgently. They're making quicker forward runs. And therefore, just a bit of a higher notch on the tempo, thanks to attacking, will make the players actually find them. They'll look for those runs as well. So attacking mentality was really, really good. In fact, I might as well just show you since we're mucking around anyway. Switch it to attacking and wait for a break. Okay, we've got attacking active now, and our players, as you can see, there's a little bit more urgency in how they are kind of running with the ball. You can see Randall Correa making a faster run than he normally would. He was really getting his head down and going there. The pressing tempo is a little bit more urgent. Hugo Duro was pressing a little bit higher than he would before, and you can see where our midfield is positioned. They're a little bit high. They're well beyond the halfway line now. They're not going to press here yet, really. But Duro is really putting some work in. That's why I'm really impressed with him, even though his attributes are, I would say, bog standard for this level. But he's very interesting. And there we go. We've won the ball higher than the halfway line. So immediately with attacking, you can see that the pressing line is a little bit higher. And there's a little bit more urgency in what the players seem to do. I didn't like that pass. That was pretty risky. He was kind of marked up, but he's done well by winning a foul and giving us a free kick. So for me, the centre-backs are still a bit too adventurous sometimes. Then again, we are on attacking, so I can't really fault them at this point. But for me, there was that pass between Paulista and Almeida there, which I just cringe every time my centre-back passes to my Mezzala attack, which is horrifying because that's normally something I really enjoy, that kind of more attacking, advanced, forward-thinking play, but not with this tactic, not with this team. To be fair, that was a really good chance on the counter for them there. They should have scored. I will put my hand up and say maybe I had too many players forward on that counter. C'est la vie. But just one last point. I watched Man City the other day. I rarely watch Man City games because they're depressing. And I think I've just watched possibly the second last Man City game that I will this year. Because they're just so depressing to watch. They're just utterly boring. It's watching just sideways passes for 90 minutes. Not to criticize, but it's just boring football to watch. Hypocritically, though, that is exactly what I'm trying to create with this Valencia team. Just passing the ball around the back, ding, 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 and waiting for a chance to come up. Getting the ball up the field with passing. Man City just get the ball into the midfield and pass it around there with 9 players in that area, each of them sticking robotically to these little mowed out squares that you see on the field. It's like they tell, okay, one centre-back, you stay here, the other centre-back, you stay here, because they play with 4 centre-backs, right? Other centre-back, you stay in this one, you stay in this one, then one of you guys, you stay in this one, the other few guys, you stay in this one. Oh, it's horrible. Effective, probably because they have the best players in the world. I don't think it'll be very effective if they have a poor team. But yeah, not so fun to watch. But that is what I'm trying to create with this Valencia team, except not that high up the field. We're trying to create that low down the field with our centre-backs and our defensive midfielder and so on. And then we're trying to draw the opposition team onto us and then break forward through the midfield with quick passing play. One side note, however, is that since turning it to attacking, we haven't actually seen our guys get forward very much. We created a lot of chances on balanced, but attacking doesn't look like it's created anything yet. So that is another thing you need to look out for if you're on full match especially, and you've just got some kind of, you've just made some kind of change, you've seen something happen in a game and you see, I want more of that. So basically going from balanced to positive tends to be, okay, we're on top, I want more of that. What I've done was I've shifted it to attacking. And this is the first corner I've gotten since shifting. I can't remember exactly what the timestamp was when I made the change. But to be honest, I haven't done too well since making that change. We seem to be pressing a little bit too high. We seem to be a little bit too rushed. That is, again, not something you'll see in full match because you're just getting highlight, break, highlight, break. So if you're on highlight mode is what I mean. So, okay, good tackle there. Maybe you'd see that. You'd see that turnover. Let's see how we can play this out. Up to the libero, exactly what we want. Center midfielder has it, gets it forward, Pepelu, but now we've got to play it through again. Excellent work. Quick playing through. Very good. Oh, poor pass. Very poor pass. So Almeida is another role that I need to kind of think about a little bit. I'm not sure Mezzala attack is really working out, but that mistake might have been the cause of attacking, where Randall Correa wasn't quite ready for that through ball, where the tempo was just a little bit too high. So my point there is that attacking hasn't looked as good as balanced. Balanced looked a lot better. One problem is that our players are quite tired. Fact that this isn't a very good squad, lots of players, squad, means that I've had to play this first team a lot. I have made a few changes, but not all that many. And the last game was about 3 days before, and a lot of these guys were on the field for that game. A lot of them played 90 minutes. So that might be one reason. But again, balance looks good. Look at that. We almost created a chance. We've got a follow-up. Balanced is the way to go, it looks like. So attacking wasn't working. We could see that on full match. It wasn't broken up by highlights. And we could just see that we weren't able to get the ball into these positions as often. immediately, as soon as I switched it to balanced, I was able to work the ball through a little bit more patiently, wait for the players to make those runs, get in those positions, and not really rush it. So again, full match is great for that kind of thing. If you need to see why stuff isn't working, if you need to see why the highlights are always in the opposite direction, switch it to full match and then try and get a feel for the game. Obviously, not everybody has the time to watch games in full match. It's almost a 1-for-1, so you could spend like an hour, you could spend even 90 minutes if you have things on normal speed. So I haven't slowed things down. I've actually made things a bit quicker. So this is slightly sped up, but it's still going to take ages to get through a game. And look, I know a lot of you try and play for 10 years, play for 15 years, saves over, a couple of weeks even. So for that, you need key highlights, extended highlights, things like that. But just when you're making a tactic, when you're trying to fine tune it, when you're trying to get it working, when you've got red on that schedule and you need to change that to yellow and green, switch it to full match for a game, see what's going wrong, and make your changes there. That's worked for me, and I'm very, very happy with this. Not just happy, but I'm actually thrilled with this because when I was talking through that previous video on creating a tactic, I was talking about these principles, getting men into the midfield, playing the ball through, finding our way by passing around and getting through the opposition team that way. And that's exactly what this tactic is doing now. We're getting possession of the ball, keeping it, and then shifting it forward between the lines, which is brilliant. So I'm enjoying how this match is going. I think we're doing exactly the right thing. I haven't seen Sevilla being able to actually get through our defense at all. We keep tackling them in this area once they get into the final third, and we keep blocking them out. We are, I think, in full control as long as things don't change suddenly. We don't make a sudden mistake, give up something on the counter-attack or something like that. So I'm going to switch this maybe to key highlights to let you actually see what happens in this game. I know it'll be a bit of a cliffhanger if I end the video right here at 0-0, 35 minutes. So I'll let you have the last few highlights, maybe commentate over them. And thank you for watching. I hope this has helped a little bit. I know this is not contained as much value as normal. The main takeaway here being slow the game down, put it to full match, and then try and have a look at what's going wrong. Try and look at why you are giving the ball up or your players are making mistakes or build-up play is not working. You can actually isolate, you can identify what's going wrong, and you can figure out what you can do in that system. The first thing is obviously find the problem, then you can fix it. And as you can see, again, we keep seeing our team win the ball on that halfway line. So that mid-block is working brilliantly. We're not letting Sevilla past. The problem here is actually creating good chances and scoring goals, but I'm pretty confident in what I've seen. We've penetrated their final third. We've gotten into their box a few times. We've gotten a couple of really good shots off from that right-sided Mezzala. So I'm very, very happy with this. And yes, those backward passes from the centre-backs is exactly what I want. I want them to play safe passes. So that is very, very cool. Although we can make a few mistakes like that. All right, I'll see you in key highlights. Amazing. Key highlight happened straight away. And what changed was that through ball by Navas. He put one over the top. That was something he wasn't trying to do before. Have a look at this one again. Navas puts the ball over the top, slightly more direct pass. That was a really good one, to be fair. And that broke the lines and it made the chance. And Ocampos has got free. Little deflection to score a goal. So nothing much I can really do about that. They've changed and Navas has played a brilliant ball. It was just a really good piece of play from him. And there we have it. 1-1 at the end of the game. Obviously, we got an equalizer after they scored that great goal of theirs. Not the best end of match story, but if we look at this up here, granted, yes, it was a home game. Then again, Sevilla is a very, very good team. We had 16 shots to 9 on target, 9 to 5. XG of 1.71. To be honest, 1.71, I would be expecting another goal there. And we had 58% possession. So possession, mission accomplished. XG dominance, yes, basically, although we gave them a couple of really high XG. This one here, which we saw, I think that was that counterattack that happened as I was talking. That was a big one, so that was 0.36, I guess. So they could have been down a little bit more if not for that one. So I would say they got a bit lucky with that goal. It was one really good pass which unlocked it, and then a deflected shot that went in. Fair enough. That was not what lost us the game, or at least drew the game. It was the fact, really, that we didn't take our chances. 9 on target, and we only scored 1. A little bit disappointing. But then again, when I looked at the squad, we were thinking, okay, where on earth are we going to get goals from? Duro is kind of our best player, and he is finishing 14. The other forwards aren't very much better either. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I was very happy with the chance creation. So a lot of chances coming to the wing backs, to the Mizala, to the attacking forward, players like that. So, to be honest, very, very happy with this. And for me, this is mission accomplished in terms of the tactic. Yes, we didn't win, but in terms of all the metrics, in terms of the football on the field, it looked brilliant. And they really only penetrated our defense once in real proper open play, not a counterattack. So, take away from this one, if it isn't going right, switch to full match for a game, maybe a game and a half. That'll help you out. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you in the comments below. Cheers!